What?
Where they told you to go to Rosecrans.
They told me to go to Rosecrans so I can sign up for housing. I've already signed up for housing
No,
at
they said you
Rosecrans.
could stay there for a while until they get.
They have a 24-hour triage crisis center. Yeah.
Yes, right.
Um,
And they'll work with you from there.
you want me to stay longer?
Huh? Well, whatever they say.
Yeah.
Here, it's up to you and them.
Yeah, as if I have an issue. Yeah, like paying Kyle Cushing $600 to, so you can legally get me out of the house, so my father doesn't get arrested for violating parole. Yeah, but I'm
Ethan, why don't you get your stuff together and let me take you there before he comes in and all this bullshit starts all over again.
because I the only reason I want to like
And why don't you go get your food stamps?
because I want to hear it from him. I want to hear it from my father.
What?
Because you have a problem with stating, you have a problem with saying what other people say. You translate things a little bit
Ethan,
differently.
he's not going to say anything except get out. He's not going to talk to you. He's not going to do anything.
Right.
He just wants you to get out.
Let me call Diana.
I tried calling her before and I couldn't.
Okay, then that's good that you tried calling her. You should call her again. She should.
Why are you going to call her?
Because I think somebody in the family needs to know this, that this is happening. That he threatened to punch me.
He didn't threaten to punch
He
you.
did threaten to punch me.
No, he didn't.
It's on camera.
Yeah, if it's on camera, then you know he didn't.
So it's then I know he didn't. Grandpa, it was on camera.
Ethan, why don't you get your stuff together and
My grandfather,
resolve all of this?
because Grandpa, you need to get help, okay? And we can just let this go. We can let this go, but you and give me 2 more weeks. Just let this go and give me 2 more weeks.
He's
But
not going to give you 2 more weeks.
all
I
right,
called him a while
then
ago.
he's probably
He said there's no discussion.
then he's
You're out here
probably
today.
going to prison.
He's not going anywhere.
He is actually.
He hasn't done anything wrong.
he is.
just telling you to get out of his house.
He assaulted me when he was on parole. He wrote me threats on paper. He couldn't even spell my name correctly on those threats. He went into the cabinet with the sweater, and he threw the sweater out. And you made me pick up.
Ethan, you're just making things worse.
How am I making it worse?
By not going when you were told to go.
Are you going to call the police?
No, I'm not. But he's going to put you outside. He'll call the police when he gets here
Okay.
to make you get out.
Let me call one more. Hold on. 779. Let me just call the police officer right now. 779. Because if this is how you're going to handle it, you're going to federal prison, okay?
Yeah, I go.
Because if you've already talked to the police officers, you're going to federal prison, okay? Because if this is how you guys are going to... Calling the police. Because obviously, if you can violate parole, grab my penis, spit in my face, beat up my grandmother, and drink and drive, and get away with it, but if I miss work...
Hey, it's Brad Walker at the Rockford Police Department, CCRT. Please leave a message. I'll return your call when I can.
At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hi, Brad. This is Ethan. I'm calling you because my grandfather is like half is half wanting me to before my father he contacted my father. My father he asked my father if I can stay here. And my father said that he doesn't want me here. And so I was contacting you because I don't know if leaving now would be a good idea. And so the issue is that I want to make it clear that my father told me I couldn't sleep here because I wasn't able to go to work today, and he told me I couldn't use the bathroom, and he said, and I don't have food stamps. They literally just ended. I didn't do anything wrong. I literally did nothing wrong. Except I wasn't able to go to work today, and so my father said I have to sleep outside. And I think that's against the law. And I'm pretty sure that's against the law. You can't just make somebody sleep outside because they didn't go to work. And so I guess that's what's happening. And that's why I'm calling you, is because my father did violate his parole. He did write me threats on paper, threatening statements. He did assault me. He did assault me. He pulled out a knife, threatened me with the knife. And so I've explained to my grandfather I think we just need to drop this entire problem for a couple weeks. But even with this much, like, with this much, like, information, they keep, they tell me I have to sit in this room. They make it very difficult on me. Like, for instance, like when I said, like, I'm gonna take the day off, then it's just like then I shouldn't live here. And they were horrible to my grandmother. And so I know the FBI will not be okay with my father, who's a rapist. That should be enough. Yeah. So
Hello?
hi. I wasn't able to go to work today,
Oh,
and
why?
my father said that I had to sleep outside. He called the police. Um, and so what transpired was just that he said if I don't go to work, I have to sleep outside, and I said I shouldn't have to listen to him. I wasn't feeling good today, so I didn't go to work.
Oh, you weren't feeling well, so you weren't gonna go today?
Yeah,
You know what? I'm in a...
I felt fine. I planned it. I planned it out. I wasn't
Hold
going.
on. Can I call you back in like 10 minutes? I will be in my car, and you answer the phone then, okay?
Yeah,
Right?
maybe you can
Where
talk.
I am, it's really loud, and I can call you, and then I can talk to you.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. Bye.
And that's my aunt, who I sued for $50,000. But the case was dropped. She made my grandmother sign the power of attorney, and she was never here for my grandmother. She told me that it'd be better if I stayed and helped out. Because I wasn't paying rent, that her job was my job. Then after my father got released from jail, my father said, "Get the hell out." My grandmother wanted me to have this house, but I don't care. I really don't care. But she wanted me to have this house. And to prove that I don't care, like, my car got taken from me. They took my car. They took my clothes. They took everything else. I mean, the house was never mine. Like, it was never, like, signed over. He made sure she would never sign over the house. and so, yeah, which is that, and my aunt said that, but my aunt has told him that this house is his house, which it is. It's his house, my grandfather's house, not my dad's house. And so the problem is that my grandfather will say to them, will say the information to them in incorrectly, and because the problem is that my grandfather says that he has signed over the deed to my dad, but it hasn't happened yet, and so it's still very much my grandfather's house, which is why my grandfather is asking my dad, like, what should we do? And so I'm gonna call my aunt. I called my aunt to say, like, look, this is illegal, and if you don't talk some sense into him, he's going to be arrested because he's a rapist. He threw away my clothing. He threw away my grandmother's possessions. My grandmother gave me the house. And because of that, he forced me into a car at knife point and drove me out of the county. And I never brought this up. I would never talk about this. Because I don't want the house. I just don't want it. I want my car back because I couldn't work out. I want my car back. I couldn't work out. I couldn't go to the gym. And they said it wasn't important for me to be healthy. And they won't let me drive their car because they're insane. Which should be enough information to say he hit my grandmother and he yelled at my grandmother and he assaulted my grandmother and threatened her and made her feel uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm sitting in a room now. Like I was sitting in a room before. And they're confronting me. I couldn't sing. I'm a singer. I couldn't sing. I couldn't use the telephone. I couldn't talk to anybody. Like, what am I supposed to do? He lied on a order of protection. And he told my father on that order of protection that it was implemented for 2 years. He let my father know that the order of protection was implemented. My father at the time was in jail. And for some reason, my grandfather told my father that he lied, committed perjury. My grandfather committed perjury on the order of protection, and told my father this, which is then when my father said he didn't want me at the house anymore. And what happened at the house was I sat and I saved my grandmother's life like 20 times. They all treat her horribly. Like my grandfather treated me like my grandmother. Literally, like my grandmother. He treated me just the same. I said, don't treat her that way. And he's like, well, it's my wife. We've been married this long. I've been in control of her this long. This is how it is. She fell 9 times, and I was like, can we like do things a little bit differently? And he said no. So including, can we not put her into the bathroom and have her for a punishment? Can we not keep her in the bathroom in her wheelchair as a form of punishment? Can we do things a little differently? So the FBI, when they watch this video, I'm giving them every opportunity to just drop this bullcrap. Because I can get my body back. The trauma probably will stay with me for a while. I can, and I'm gonna get my possessions back because they're gonna have to sell the house. Whoever has a house to pay for the whatever's, which is that's just how it is, I believe. But my point is that, my point is that, my point is that, I have confessions of the assault from him. I have confessions of he said that he had said that he had never felt threatened from me. I'm not threatening. I literally do the right thing all the time, and then when I make my own decision here, for one day, the police are called, and I would always give up what I needed to do for my grandmother. So make no mistake about it. If my grandmother needed to be watched, I would watch her, of course. I had no problem doing that. I was the only person here for her. So I just, so he literally, the state, the people, he and him lie. He lies so much, either short-term memory loss or whatever. But he conveniently remembers only partial stories, and I can't forget. I would never forget this much. Yeah, and they, yeah, obviously, and so I'm going to tell them that you got to give me like 2 more weeks, or otherwise you're probably going to jail. Probably both of them. Because I also have a tooth that I lost because of them, and it's not. I still need to have that removed, and the amount of pain that I'm in is unremarkable, and the and I just, every single possession my grandmother bought me, they threw out. They threw out everything my grandmother bought me, because my grandfather didn't buy me anything. My grandfather didn't buy me anything. And then they threw away every possession my grandmother owned. So, so it's just, I didn't threaten anybody. I said I'm not going to go to work today. They said if I don't go to work, then I have to sleep outside in the middle of November. Okay? They're insane. They're insane. And they neglected my grandmother, assaulted her. They wouldn't feed her as much food as she needed. So, it's I guess I would say, I don't know why it's okay for my father, who's a rapist, to bring people into the house, have sex with them, tell me I have to sit right here and listen. And I don't know why my grandfather thinks that I was able to get a job when my job was watching my grandmother, and the judge believed him on everything he said and didn't believe me for nothing. And my grandfather's just the most is just this unstable. I mean, he gave the house to my dad, my father, who's a rapist and a drug addict, and he because he doesn't think anybody's going to take care of him. My grandfather doesn't think anybody's going to take care of him, so he gave the house to my dad because my aunt and my other aunt are never there for him or my grandmother. And after he stole my car, he felt like I was never going to be there for him either. And I came back here after all that trauma. The only way I could have gotten over that trauma was to come back here. And like I said, when I drove down the street, I was in so much trauma just on the street that this happened in, because it's just like, this is not supposed to happen. This is not supposed to happen. So what I guess I'm trying to say is that if my father was really confident that when the police came, my father was really confident that when the police came, that he wasn't going to get arrested. And I do understand that this program that does mitigate the potential arrest from occurring due to a civil dispute. However, during that civil dispute, my life was threatened. So this program doesn't know how to define CRT, doesn't know how to define what is a civil problem versus a criminal problem. So, the crisis co-response team, and that's, I mean, and of course I have to leave. I actually have to be the one to get out of the house because I complained after I asked why can I not use the bathroom? It's right here. And I don't leave anything in the bathroom, but my dad saw a follicle of hair. I cut my hair once, and he saw like a follicle, one little smidgen of hair. And he said from that day on, I could never use that bathroom ever again. By the way, this is my bedroom. This is my bedroom. And this is like the bedroom that I grew up in as like a child. This is the bedroom I grew up in as a child. And that bathroom was like the bathroom I used like as a child. My father was in prison. My father was in prison my entire life. So how does he come back from jail and violate his parole and then tell me to leave, which and then like threaten my life, like literally write me threatening statements, throw away my clothing? Why does my father get to do that? Why is he not in jail? Why is my father not in jail for assaulting me, threatening me, yelling at my grandmother, neglecting my grandmother, and throwing away my clothes, and telling me I can't use the bathroom? It wasn't his house at the time. Why is he not in jail? Because my aunt said, I don't know, make him leave. Because I wasn't able to leave at that time. I didn't have a jacket. The clothing I had, I didn't have a jacket. I didn't have a jacket. I was like, but I did try to leave. I still, without a jacket, tried to leave. But I had to leave my clothing behind, and the police were called, and I had to leave it all behind. I had to leave all my clothing behind. The police were called, then I had to leave my clothing behind. Now, how does that make sense? How come how come my aunt said I had to leave without my clothing? How come my aunt said, look, we got to have you leave without your clothing? Like, what doesn't make any sense? Why did I have to get into the car without any of my clothing? Why couldn't I bring my clothing? Why do you... And the cop and the police officer was okay with it. Why would the police officer be okay with me being forced into the car without my clothing? My dad threw away all my clothing afterward. Why would the police officer be so okay with that? Why was the police officer okay with that? Because my aunt said it was okay. Yeah, just put him into the car without my clothing. I don't know. What's the problem? What's the problem? Because if I was on parole and I assaulted anybody, I would go to jail. If I was on parole and I threatened anybody, I would go back to jail. The police came because I said I wasn't going to go to work today. There was no threat ever made. But I would have, if I was on parole, I would have gone to jail for ever making such a statement, such a threat. If I ever made a threat, I would go to jail. Do you get it? Do you understand? I never so much as threatened anybody. And my aunt didn't call me because she's aware. She's very aware of it. This is what I have to deal with. I have to sleep outside after my car has been stolen and after my clothes have been thrown away because I called elder abuse when my grandmother got assaulted. Elder abuse did nothing. And I'm recording this video because like the police do not care that he assaulted my grandmother. He can get away with it. And the point is that the point is that my father believes that the police who came today, because he left before they arrived, I think he believes that if he calls them again, that I will go to jail. And if my father believes that for some reason the police will arrest me for being here, that I'll go to jail, then my father knows something horrible about these police officers that I do not. And I thought I had a little bit more interaction with these police than he'd had, because when he called the police, he ran downstairs and hid from the police. He said that if my grandfather said if I called the police myself, that both him and my father were going to lie to the police, and that's what they did. They lied to the police when they got angry. They lied to the police. My grandfather would call the police. My father would run downstairs. He'd run downstairs, and he'd hide. And so he wouldn't be implicated. And then when the police come, they would they'd said, okay, well, this is a civil issue, but we're going to charge you with a criminal because of my grandfather's over the age of 65. Basically, if you're over the age of 65, you can grab somebody's personal body. You can grab their penis, their vagina. If a 65-year-old can grab a penis or a vagina if it's not theirs, and spit in that person's face and not get in trouble for it, can assault their wife. Basically, that's how it is in Winnebago County. Because it happened. I was sitting down in a chair. I was assaulted laying down on this bed. I was assaulted laying down on this bed and in the chair. and I was assaulted over 9 times. So my point is that if my father thinks that if I do get arrested tonight, I guess I'm going to try to calm him down. But if I get arrested tonight, that's a problem. That's a big problem because I didn't break a law. It's not my father's house. Unless you can lie to the police and say that you're an owner when you are actually not the owner. And if that's the case, then my father can lie and say that he is the owner, and that that he had every right to hurt my grandmother, and that he had that he was he was responsible for her well-being, and because she wasn't fed correctly, then it does make him responsible. If somebody can lie and say they're the homeowner and they're not the homeowner, then they assume the same responsibility as the homeowner. Make no mistake about it. They are just as liable criminally. They threw away my coat, all my clothing. I'm done. I think I said it all. Yeah, I don't threaten people. I don't threaten anybody. I say what I'm going to do, and that's it. And sometimes I leave things without being said because there's too many variables to know if the Rockford Police Department are waiting for this to happen again, or if they're just scratching their head and realizing they messed up so bad. They messed up so bad that they better be fixing it, because the old way, if it happens, and by God, if the old way still happens, they will go to jail. Those police officers will go to jail. Okay? And yeah. Because I have enough for conspiracy. At the end of when my grandfather called the police, and they, on the way out, they well, first off, the police officer, Kenneth Farmer, said, "Good idea of putting the house into your father's name." And it could have been sarcastic, but I don't do well with sarcasm. And then they said, "Okay, you saw everything. You saw it all, right?" And then they all nodded at the door. They all said, "Yep, we saw everything. So let's get a move on this. You saw it. We saw everything." And so my father must be under the impression that because they saw everything, that he has the ability to call them back and they're going to arrest me for not being here. And that's what I don't know. But I did call the police. Call them again. Diana did not call me back. Hi, Brad. It's Ethan. Hey, hey, my grandfather had called my father, and he was kind of asking. He asked if maybe if it'd be okay if I stayed here tonight. And my father said it wasn't okay for me to stay here tonight. On the phone, I called my aunt to see if she can talk some sense into him. Um, and so she's going to call back when he gets off of work because I literally just said like let's just I just need like 2 weeks here and that's it. So if and that's and my father, I don't know what he was really aggressive, and so I don't know what he's going to be when he comes back. I assume he's just not going to. I feel like he's going to calm down. So when I talk to him, I'm gonna have that. I'll talk to him then, or my grandfather will talk for me. But what if he says I gotta like get my stuff and leave? Is that just I just gotta get my? This is like 2 weeks, like 2 weeks. Then my dad's like like the basement flooded. My dad started like as I'm cleaning. As I was cleaning up the flooded basement. My dad was throwing stuff at me, and he's telling me I can't use the bathroom. Like they're insane. Like obviously, yeah. And that's really it. It is just like just move on. So I don't should can I give you a call if something doesn't work out or and just let you know. I appreciate it. I know. Yeah, I didn't know what district are you? Okay. Yep, I see it. All right. Okay, I appreciate it. Okay, thank you. Yeah, as soon as possible. I did I got taken off 3 times. I should never have been taken off. Like you're right. It would have been preventative. I cool. The date is for a showing, right? Oh, because they said the showings are they're like 3 months behind, 4 months behind on the housing list. Because I had already yeah that's a what assisted housing. Okay. I understand. Some of them have vouchers, like first month's, last month's rent, and then some of them are just like subsidized housing. Is it the resource guide? Is there for your different program? Is it online? No website. That's okay. Just okay. I just know the so I stayed away. Well, the PASS program was through the MH program, and so the state of Illinois used the MH as a deterrent, and a reason for me being assaulted by a Rockford police officer in this bedroom, as a mentally unstable. And so I wanted to stay away from. And then I with the order, with a no contact order, my grandfather actually drove me to Rosecrans and told me I had to I had to sit there and talk to them about this problem, him being a horrible person. And I told the people at the Rosecrans, like, I have no contact with them. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be at the house. And I'm taking care of my grandmother, and my grandfather's suicidal. He's assaulted my grandmother. Um, so it's kind of like, is there another? Can I like stay? Because they're trying to use that MH, that mental health, as a part of a in federal court right now. And I'm is like, do you have another program that's not affiliated with Rosecrans? Because I'm going to sue Rosecrans for like a lot of money. If not, if that's okay, I'll go. I went back. I had no problem going back. Okay, just
Just have to have that assessment, and then it opens the door to everything else.
okay.
And it doesn't have to be Rosecrans after that, so.
Okay, I appreciate it. Then it doesn't
Okay.
matter. Thank you.
Alright, you're welcome.
Bye. So it's okay for somebody to violate a no contact order, and assault my grandmother and assault me, lie to the police, lie to the individuals. It's like I can't speak, and it is difficult to speak. Yeah, I'm not supposed to be able to say this. I'm not supposed to be able to say this. And yeah, the Rockford Police Department definitely, definitely are going to do the right thing. No, because no, he because he's that powerful. Steals my car. And I feel bad for him. I'm nice. And I just feel bad for him, and I'm nice to him. I don't do anything wrong. I'm really nice to him. I'm really, really nice to him. Really, 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 really nice to him. But if I take the autobus, public transportation, instead of his car, he thinks I'm not telling the truth. He doesn't trust me. But he trusts my dad to go into the car and drink and drive and smoke in the car and all that. And I have to say this right now, because I can get arrested soon, very soon. And my aunt didn't call back. She did not call me back. And I have to worry about sleeping outside in November because because I wasn't, and because I was, yeah. Yeah.